Good evening. On behalf of the governing body of the City of Passaic, we welcome
Recording in progress.
you to the September 5th, 2024 City Council meeting. In accordance with Chapter 231, Public Laws of
Can you hear
19...
me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
In accordance with Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting was provided by resolution of the Municipal Council adopted on June 18, 2024, setting forth the schedule of meetings for the year 2024-2025. Said notice was published and posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board by the Office of the City Clerk. Please be further advised this meeting will be conducted in person. The Zoom stream provided is for viewing only and is offered to the public as a convenience. On August 7, 2024, public notice and Zoom instructions for this meeting were published in the Herald News and posted on the City of Passaic website at www.cityofpassaic.com, Council Agendas. Instructions are also available on the last page of this agenda. Please be guided accordingly.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Love?
Present.
Councilwoman Mello?
Councilwoman Mello, can you hear us? Continue, please.
Councilman Schwartz?
Present.
Councilman Garcia?
Present.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez? And Council President Scheer.
And if I may, ma'am, Councilwoman Mello? Very good. If we may all please rise. Mayor, may we impose on you for the invocation?
Blessed are you, O Lord, King of the universe, creator of heaven and earth. We thank you for this opportunity that we may come together as a governing body to do the business of the City of Passaic. We ask that you would guide all decisions made, that you would provide wisdom as well as compassion in order to do what is in the best interest of every resident and all those who work or visit this great city. Lord, as we come upon 9/11, we ask that you would give comfort to those families who still mourn, that you let us reflect upon the seriousness and hurt that so many experience, and that we would show true gratitude for the unity and resiliency, and that we would honor our police, our fire, and all first responders appropriately. Again, we present this meeting to you in your holy name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I understand.
Who switched the flag over here?
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, Councilman Mello, can you hear us?
I pray put you to sleep.
Let's continue to assume that they cannot hear us. If they can't hear us, I assume that no one else on Zoom can hear us.
Yeah, so apparently it's a Zoom issue that keeps kicking the main line out. So we keep going in, it keeps kicking us out, we keep joining.
But Susie is our attorney on behalf of the city. Despite the fact this meeting can go on, there is no compromise to the validity and legality of the meeting. Am I correct?
There's not, you're correct.
Very good. Thank you very much, ma'am. If you don't have an agenda, they're available immediately outside council chambers, or if somehow you're prescient and are hearing these proceedings now, you can get them on the internet as well under the City of Passaic's website, and that will share with you all the information, resolutions, communications, ordinances that we will be discussing tonight and that have been provided to this council by the administration and the staff, for which we thank you. We are on the agenda, Roman numeral 4, minutes of March 19, 2024, April 2nd, 2024, April 18, 2024, May 7, 2024, City Council meetings. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented by the City Clerk to this council? Seeing none, is there a motion, please, to accept the minutes as
So move
presented?
it. Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
And Council President Scheer.
Yes, thank you. Before I go on, I did want to make mention that there are 4 members of the council sitting on the dais and joined with pleasure by the mayor and the business administrator. 4 members constitutes a legal quorum, and we are just that. We're Roman numeral 5, Mayor's update. Mayor, good evening. Thank you for being here, sir.
Good evening. Council President, members of the City Council, city residents. As I mentioned in the invocation of the prayer, we have our September 11th ceremony on September 11th, Wednesday at 9 a.m. We begin at 9 a.m. sharp, and we'll have official ceremonies at 9:11 a.m. I wanted to share with our community that the work on the parking deck across the street has begun. Many have driven by and already seen it. It will provide over 300 public parking spaces, so the work continues. I also wanted to share that on Sunday, August 18th, along with the PBA and my administration, we held a book bag giveaway at the indoor recreation facility. Over 400 book bags were distributed to families, as well as free eye exams and glasses were given via an organization, Vision to Learn, for the children in our city, also providing free reading books via the organization More Than Friends. I want to thank them, as well as our city council and all those who work together each year to meet the needs of our students. I want to congratulate and of course, welcome all our students back to school this week. This is back to school week. I want to thank all of our teachers, all of our school staff, all of our SROs, police, crossing guards, and everyone that is working so hard, as well as the maintenance departments that work so hard to clean up the schools and get them ready, along with the administration. I also wanted to share that on Tuesday, August 20th, we had the NJEDA Urban Investment Fund Grant Program, where our business administrator, Rick Fernandez, conducted a public hearing on the NJEDA Urban Investment Fund Grant to discuss the purpose, potential uses, and application process with the public. For those unable to attend, you can still visit our City of Passaic website to view the presentation and complete a short survey. Also on August 31st, 2024, the City of Passaic had our second annual International Overdose Awareness Day. I want to thank the opiate-free organization led by Liz Burma Peralta and 4 young ladies, all recent students who graduated college, who have roots in the City of Passaic, along with Medgar Evers College, and all those that partnered with us to educate the community on the dangers of fentanyl, on the need for Narcans, and on the concerns not just of opiate addiction, but overdose and tragic situations where people are losing their lives, and the crucial minutes and seconds that can save a life with the appropriate use of Narcans, as well as the fentanyl strips that help individuals identify or able to assess any kind of substance or food to find out if there's any fentanyl in it, which can be tragic and deadly when combined with alcohol or other illegal substances, or even food and drinks. So I want to share that. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Lowe's. Lowe's distributed in the City of Passaic, the Lowe's warehouse. Many of you know them as the ones that took over the old Panasol site on Jefferson. They have chosen our City of Passaic Police Department, Chief Guzman, to be our Hometown Hero program, and they will give us $2,500 for a project in the police department. So we are exploring some options. We're vetting it through our attorney, Susie Burns, at the chief's initial request to put a jacuzzi in his office. Chief, the official written decision on that hasn't come in, but Attorney Burns is saying that she will work on that and continue to vet it. She's sending it up the chain and trying to find out. They're sending it to a particular office in the state. There's an assemblyman of the 36th legislative district who similarly asked if he could get a jacuzzi in his assembly office. So they're going to see. They're going to see which one can get it first. But all jokes aside, we're going to look. We just recently did some repairs and constructions in our police department, but we are very grateful to Lowe's. All jokes aside, our police officers work so very hard, and the opportunity to utilize some of these funds to make whatever repairs or additions that will help, whether it's in the training room where our officers do continuing education and in services. I think we just recently had a GIF training where they came in. I know they spoke to the newly promoted sergeants. So that was a great opportunity in our training room. So this funding can go to something very serious, whether it's training, whether it's additional equipment or otherwise. And we're very glad and grateful to Lowe's for choosing the City of Passaic. I also wanted to share that we move forward, and many of you saw on News 12 the report on our Blue Envelope program. Blue Envelope program is a program that the City of Passaic is working in collaboration with different departments of the police throughout the state of New Jersey, where those who are adults and are on the spectrum or have autism and have driver's licenses are given blue envelopes where they can put their registration, their insurance in the blue envelope, and then when they show it to the police can immediately identify a driver who has autism. This becomes extremely important because some of the characteristics or responses by those who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD can be viewed or misinterpreted by law enforcement if they're not familiar, such as, and I'll give an example of stemming, which may be expressed by shaking of the hands or movement. If an officer approaches a vehicle and says, "Give me your papers," and someone's shaking their hands, that may not be viewed as something that's innocent. But if one is using the blue envelope program and has it visible, the officer will be aware. We want our officers to always be cautious in every situation, but being aware of certain conditions will assist, as well as it provides opportunities for education for our police officers and puts many of the parents of adults on the spectrum at ease, letting them know that they can drive. We actually had a participant, council president, that I was able to reach out to through a connection that I have. As many of you know, I have a son who has autism, a 32-year-old adult male in Passaic who has autism, who has a driver's license. So we did a mock pullover with Lieutenant Aguirre at the direction of our chief, Chief Guzman, and they pulled the person over right in front of City Hall. They gave the blue envelope, the news covered it and recorded how the interaction went. We're working with the Passaic County Prosecutor's Office on this, and our officer that is in charge of this program is Officer Detective Edline Guzman Ledesma. So we're very excited about this program, as well as working with all of the chiefs in the Chiefs Association of Police. This is an excellent program, and I've also begun, introducing a new program that I've developed in the city called Blue Driver's Ed. And Blue Driver's Ed will be much like we have our Junior Police Academy, and our Junior Fire Academy will be a junior driver's ed, so young people don't have to wait to 16 and 17 to learn of this program, but we'll have week-long sessions where 13, 14, 15, and 16-year-olds can come in with their families and go through a program with our Passaic Police Department and learn about appropriate interactions when driving, especially for those who may be on the spectrum. Again, some of the concerns can be because of eye contact or sometimes sensory overload, the sirens or many police showing up. An individual may respond or perhaps have an episode, or if they're involved in an accident. And having this training becomes vitally important, even paramount, to ensure that the interaction can go smoothly. New Jersey, at one time, Council President, you're familiar with this in your role as Assemblyman and one of the greatest and strongest advocates for families with special needs, as well as insurance, but safety measures, had the highest rates of young people born with autism in the country, in the state of New Jersey. Most recent data has us in the top 5, but that means that after a few years, this was over 20 years ago, we now have some of the highest rates of adults of autism, and many who are high functioning or have been mainstream, want to drive, have jobs. So this becomes an extremely important program. I want to take this opportunity again to commend the chief on his work and commitment to this initiative of the city. Many of you know the city of Passaic was among the first. In fact, I think we were literally the first to establish blue parks that identified equipment and areas for families who have children with special needs like autism or various different conditions. So we were at the forefront of these initiatives, and we continue to do so. So again, Chief, thank you very much for your cooperation and help. A quick update, recent streets that have been paved: Jefferson Street, 3rd Street, Hoover Ave, Liberty Street, Central Ave, and Summer Street. Next streets that will be paved will be coming up Ortho Ave and Donald Ave, and we have a number of streets being paved around the city. We try to get as many done before school starts. Of course, weather conditions sometimes impede the progress. We've had a number of storms, and they could not do them during the storms, but we have a number of roads that are being done now, and a number of traffic lights that are being put up around our city, some in 3rd Ward Memorial Park, some in, or 3rd Ward area around the park as well, some in our 2nd Ward, and we'll give a full report next council meeting on that. We have some additional safety projects. Our new safety gates in all of our blue parks that I had mentioned are parks that identify inclusive equipment for those who have special needs, along with children that are often referred to as neurotypical and those who are neurodivergent in all ranges of abilities are being put up, brand new gates. Also on Highland Avenue, we have our sewer replacement, which is complete, and 2 new manholes installed. We're also continuing to install a new storm line within Oak Street between Myrtle and Main Avenue, and we're currently installing new ADA ramps and upgraded traffic signals at Passaic Avenue and Acreage Avenue. Also this week on Saturday, there will be a brand new grocery store opening up on Passaic near Wall Street, and this is extremely exciting as it is an area that has been identified as what we often refer to as a food desert when it comes to produce and healthy foods, considering some of the concerns in our community, such as food insecurity and hunger crisis, providing opportunities for families within proximity to where they live, where they can access healthy and good food, and a variety and diverse selection of food becomes extremely crucial. So we're very happy about that. With that stated, Council President, I believe that is the extent of my report.
Mayor, thank you so very much on so many levels. So many exciting things that you mentioned that the city is involved with your leadership. I would like to ask you a question, if I may. You mentioned a blue envelope.
Yes.
So is it literally an envelope? Is it
So
an
it's
envelope?
blue and it's visible on your dashboard, or you put it in your visor, and as soon as you're pulled over, you take it out. It has all of the essential or important papers or documents that you have to give to the police, so you avoid looking around.
Your insurance card, your registration, everything is there.
Everything. One of the other things that we're pushing for through a city, and I'll be again reaching out to your office in a different capacity, is to have something identifiable on license plates. The police can identify the drivers, but not necessarily the public, some kind of marker. We've done it for other individuals, and it becomes extremely important for those drivers, because as more and more interactions occur between police and adults who are on the spectrum, and there have been unfortunate tragic incidents around the country where police officers misinterpreted certain interactions, or perhaps there wasn't training, or there wasn't appropriate teaching of adults in terms of their interaction with police. I'll give you an example, and this is in no way to make judgment, but for my son, one of the things that I teach him, because he reaches out immediately to touch things when he meets someone, he may want to hug them, touch them, is to teach him early, don't reach for a police officer's gun or their badge when you meet them. It's extremely important they learn early. So having these programs and letting officers know immediately when they're pulling someone over that they may be dealing with someone who has autism can change their interaction or their approach, and may ensure that there's a smooth interaction, and at the worst case scenario, a ticket, which nobody wants, but I think we can all live with.
Excellent. I know that on the state side, there was serious discussion of an issue with license plates. The thought being that young men and young women who are just learning how to drive, there'd be an identifiable number or sign on the license plate. And there was a lot of discussion on this that might be positive for us as a city to review on this level, to make sure that it gives us the right result. It sounds like an absolutely wonderful idea, though. Wonderful
Definitely.
idea.
Just as there are handicap identifiers on a license plate, the potential for a specific number that lets the officer know that the driver, not necessarily the layperson, but the officer know that the driver is someone on the spectrum, they can always pull it up when they ring up the license plate, because I believe that is common practice, Chief. Whenever an officer pulls someone up, they look up the license plate. So the layperson wouldn't necessarily know, but an identifier that would let them know. They've done it for other individuals, specific handicap individuals or someone, and I know they've been exploring for those who may have challenges with mental illness.
No, Mayor, under your leadership and guidance, the city has involved itself so much, and so rightfully so, in the area of the disability community. Making sure that we are one society that includes everyone, from those with abilities to disabilities, and every religion and race and color and everything else that one can think of. And that inclusiveness has become such a hallmark for this city under what you've done. For our playgrounds, if you'll allow me to digress for just a moment, two of my grandsons were visiting my wife and I and we went down to a blue park. I wanted them to see, and it was exciting because it was also an educational opportunity to share with them. So you'll forgive me, but seeing my grandchildren who are white and with other children who are not, and the differences, it was fascinating to me. So there were no differences in these kids' minds.
Beautiful.
It was absolutely an experience, absolutely an experience. Any other questions for the mayor at this time? No. Very good, thank you. With the council's permission, we're up to Roman numeral 6 on our agenda, hearing of citizens. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-1 et sec, the council opens every public meeting for comments of the public. However, in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12, nothing in this act shall be construed to limit the discretion of a public body to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation at any meeting. Therefore, please be advised that the council will not entertain any comments from persons who communicate obscene material, make statements which are considered bias intimidation, in which a person intends to intimidate any individual or group because of race, color, religion, gender, handicap, sexual orientation, or ethnicity, or makes comments intending to harass or speak any offensive language. The person who makes these statements will relinquish their allotted 5 minutes for public discussion. We invite anyone here to join with us and to speak if you would like. We ask that you share with us your name. Your address is not necessary. And everyone is to go no more than 5 minutes. At 4 minutes, the clerk will ring a bell signifying that you have 1 minute more with which to speak. I know that we have a number of people here on a number of issues. Is there anyone who'd like to address the council? Mr. Condescente, you'll forgive me, I think this gentleman was standing up first.
Hello, Mayor. Hello, councils. Hello, everybody. My name is Miroslav. I'm from 9th Street. I already twice did bring up in here problem with the Kylin mattress, which one are located our street. Like I said before, the business is using on a so small and short street, 53 feet long was trucks, which one also driving so many times opposite direction. After my request, it looks like a city official was trying to work to fix the problem, but the problem became even worse than ever. What was done? The city official put no parking area, like 3 signs of no parking. It means, for me, means if it's no parking for anyone except fire truck, medical ambulance. It looks like a big part of the street was assigned to Kylin mattress. And right now, they are doing the bad thing, how they have been doing with the driving trucks, maybe less than before of driving opposite direction, but they are still coming in there, those 53 feet trucks, every day after 6 a.m. and every Saturday, Sundays, and any holidays. We do not have any quiet area on our street. So, in our opinion, the way which one the problem city was trying to fix, it's not too good. Anyone who lives on, gonna be in that area is at high risk because the truck drivers, they're completely not paying any attention what's going on the street. Police remain blind. Sometimes there was almost collision with the police car, with the trucks which are driving opposite direction. There was no reaction. There is also no reaction from the police. If there's a street cleaning, they are ticketing the residents. We are receiving like a few dozen every month. They are remain blind on the trucks from Kylin matters. One time, residents stopped the ticketing officer. He said, "What about those trucks which are parked and make it always impossible to clean up the street?" So after that, he was trying to do that. Kylin matters, in our opinion, is not about the law. The law should be assigned for residents, like same thing for the Kylin matters. So far, we do see the way which one problem the city was trying to fix it is not too good. We are still at a risk to be hit by those trucks. At the beginning of that business, they have been doing right way by using smaller trucks which one has been going to the area where the business operating and picking up and making delivery the products by using them property. Right now, the big property is really big. There's so big parking area about the business. Now everything has been moved on the street, so they are unloading, unloading the trucks on the sidewalk and the street. So for a few hours every day, the street is blocked by the big trucks and the employee from that business working back and forth on the street from loading or unloading the trucks. Sidewalk is completely impossible to use. Pedestrians, they need to go on the street or use the sidewalk on the other side. That is necessary to take a look and find a better fixing that problem. In our opinion, the best way is to suggest to the business owners to use the smaller truck and start to use them big parking lot. Because as soon as the city assign for them the street and the sidewalk, they put for a rental parking spaces on that property. That's wrong. We have problems also with the parkings because of that operation. Like 4 parking spaces was erased on 9th Street, and on the intersection with the Wall Street maybe 12. So we lost in the last 3 months maybe 16 parking spaces. I don't need to explain to you, probably everybody knows it's very difficult to find any parking spot after 3 p.m. if somebody will come from the work. That's so terrible. Plus, we lost, let's say, 12, maybe 16 parking spaces. So I do have a request to take a look on the problem and try to fix that on a way which one residents will see there is something good going on. Like right now, it's so bad.
Chief, we've been appraised of this before in terms of, could you share with us?
So, Captain Rivera and Lieutenant Burnett were advised of the situation, and they've actually been working on trying some solutions. Obviously, what the gentleman is speaking about is not conducive to resolving the problem that he's facing every day. But we're trying different scenarios to address this better. But it has caught our attention, and we are working on it. But we're looking for a better solution. One of the things that has transpired has changed is that the trucks are bigger. That's one of the issues that we're starting to see. There used to be smaller trucks, and they could actually come around and not take up as much space, but we're still working on trying to find a solution for the residents and to advise the business that they can't come down with 18-wheelers, let's say. There used to be smaller trucks, my understanding, but we're still working on it.
I would like to add on something. That business they are collecting the Dory mattresses from so many cities, and they are unloading them right now on the sidewalk and even ripping off the parts. I don't need to tell you there is Dory full of the insects, and they are doing that on the sidewalk and the street because they have been authorized by the city officials. Cannot be a situation like that. This is not normal. Dory product, they should deal with them on them big property, not on the sidewalk and street. Why the sidewalk was assigned to that business? I do not understand. And the other residents, which one are together with me, we do not understand that.
Chief, from a legal point of view, could the city, and I guess Susie, this would be even up your bailiwick more, could the city restrict the size of trucks?
That's more.
Via ordinance, Council President, via ordinance, there's been precedent to have ordinance that limit the weight of vehicles in terms of parking. We could explore through the attorney to look at ordinances in other municipalities. As the chief has identified that the trucks have gotten bigger, we can put a limit of weight of vehicles that are allowed to park, especially during specific hours or loading zones, so we can have a report for the council. And in terms of the mattresses and unloading the mattresses that they pick up from all over the the areas, different communities, in order to change the covers and then resell them and leave the covers on the sidewalk. I believe that's what's being shared. Council President, we can refer that to the health department to go directly to the business, and they can address that through the health department, not necessarily the police, but they can give fines and tell the business this is unacceptable.
Just as a matter of clarity for those who are with us and have not had the pleasure to attend a council meeting before, when the mayor refers to an ordinance, that means a law. Every no parking sign that you see is created by a law. And what he's referring to is the possibility, or I should say exploring, of various ideas. Chief, any other ideas that we can share with these people here?
So, I don't know if the gentleman saw that, we put up these plastic, I guess, poles that, you know, if a car hits something like that, they go down. It's similar to what some of the things we have by,
The Ballards by Van Halen?
yeah, we try those things to restrict some of the parking for the trucks to realize that they can't turn despite not making any damage to the vehicle or anything like that. But we use the word study, but we are trying several different remedies, let's say, to rectify this problem.
So when you'll forgive me, but we have members of the public here asking a question. They have right whether the question would be, of course, is. Sir, I'm going to ask. We'll open the floor to everyone else to speak also, but if we can just do this one at a time, if you don't mind. Is any idea, Chief, Mr. Mayor, when the council could hear the results of your inquiries on this? Is 2 weeks sufficient that we could get a report back from Lieutenant Barnett? So at our meeting 2 weeks from now, when is that meeting scheduled, Weatherly?
Since the 17th.
So on the 17th, September 17th, the chief and members of his crew at the mayor's direction is going to come up with some ideas, hopefully that'll alleviate some of the problems that you've spoken about. But there's no question that this is something which I know the administration is firmly committed to. But on the other hand, we want to make sure that we're not creating even more of a problem by a solution which is not so good, right? Anyone else like to address the council? Please.
If I may, Council President?
I'm sorry, just a moment, sir, if you don't mind, Councilman Love, please.
Yes,
Excuse me, sir.
Thank you, Council President. Our honorable mayor alluded to it. I know we rectified a problem on 3rd Street in the past that was very similar to this, and it was with the restriction of delivery hours. And I'm sure you're on that, Chief, but I think it kind of worked out because obviously it did, because we didn't have anybody coming back to the council meeting. So that restriction of hours, it can be based on, I mean, because one of the things is too, and our residents, right, deserve the best, right? But we do have thriving companies who we have to have a happy medium with as well. So those restriction of hours and delivery can kind of help alleviate some of that. So just a thought, and it worked on 3rd Street when we.
So that's certainly something to look into, and what the mayor said about the weight restriction on the trucks that are huge compared to years ago. And speaking to Maris, what was his name, gentleman? The biggest thing is that the trucks are huge.
Yeah.
They can't even make the turn, and then they take up, half of the street. So.
Well, with the old cliche, kill a few birds or with one stone, I think in particular with Passaic Street in that area, South Street, 9th Street, that traffic is horrendous already. So if there's a way that we can kind of, use that time restriction to alleviate that as well, it'll be a win for everyone.
Thank you, Councilman. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Matthew Krajewski. I live on 9th Street too, and in addition to Mr. Mirak, what he said, I believe what he said is true, and it's a residential area, it's not a commercial area. The tractor trailers cannot go that way. They shouldn't be allowed. Same thing with the straight jobs. I would say maybe up to 20 feet even is too big because they cannot make turns. They have a parking lot where they could probably pull in and back out or back in to unload on the parking lot. those mattresses. And now everything is changed because the city came in, they put 2 signs that says no parking in front of the garages. They painted the yellow signs, then they put a box of white paint that nobody could park over there, which is, it could be illegal parking. And it's not fair to the residents because right now we have a lot of people that live in the area and they have all cars. There is no parking. And this business takes a lot of parking spaces. In addition, this year, the Department of Public Works sent out from, like, I believe was, the chief said, Lieutenant Burnett or Captain Burnett, they approved, like, when you make the turn on the corner on the right side, from the corner, they said it's allowed to paint 50 feet. To me, I don't think 50 feet should be allowed. Maybe 5, 10 feet, but 50, you take in parking spaces. That side of the street has no effect on traffic if the cars are parked there. And there is across there is a fire pump. I understand a fire hydrant. Yes, trucks have to, fire trucks, if there's a God forbid fire, they need, yes, I agree with that. Then across the street by the Holy Rosary Rectory, they painted the whole street yellow right to the bridge. From the bridge to a certain amount of feet, they should have a yellow sign and let the people park. They've been doing that for years and was no issue. Now they put yellow lines everywhere. People have no parking.
Let's see what the police department.
This is something that now they do in construction on Passaic Street, which I understand they have to do. They're putting up those. They put a box on a intersection of 9th and Passaic. They put a new drain, and then they're putting pipes. That has to be done. So they took additional parking spaces. There's too many people that live in the area, and there's too many cars. My suggestion is this, I could only suggest, you're the people who control the city. Somebody should go around and see where people could park and don't put yellow lines in, and where the yellow line's supposed to be, they should be, but you can't paint half the street, half the block with yellow paint, and then everybody gets a ticket. Last week I was on the street, I moved my car, and so now I don't get a ticket in the morning. And the guy who was driving from the parking authority for the sweepers, he won't give those guys who unloaded the mattresses from the trucks, he didn't want to give him ticket. I said, listen, if you don't tell him to move, I will call, I'll make pictures, and I will call Lieutenant Burnett or Captain Burnett. I said, that's not right. They shouldn't be here. And the sweeper had to go around. Then finally he made a decision. He started over the speaker, told him to move. That tractor trailer cannot make the turn. As long as I've been living, and I've been living over here 13 years now, and all the trucks that go there, they have to back up because they cannot make it. Straight jobs, okay, but tractor trailers, it's a residential area. No commercial vehicle should be there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you,
I hope
sir.
you make the right decision.
Thank you for your input.
No problem.
Anyone else like to address the council on this item or any other item?
Hi, with the same thing, 9th Street. There's also a welding company that they go there once in a while and they make a lot of noises and they take a lot of spaces. So you gotta check into that too, please. It's a welding company and they do work in there too. Is that I said? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Buenas tardes. ¿Pueden hablar en traducirme a alguien?
Ma'am, could we ask you to speak a little bit louder?
She asked if,
She's asked if we can translate. I can do that for you if you want.
Sí. Okay. Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Reina.
Good afternoon, my name is Reina.
Yo vengo pues a agradecer por las calles que están muy bonitas,
I came to express my gratitude because the streets look very nice.
pero tenemos un problema en la Market. Yo vivo en la Market Street
We have a problem on Market Street. I live on Market Street.
con lo de las ratas. Hay demasiadas ratas.
There are rats, and there are many rats.
Dieron muchos botes, sí, pero necesitamos que alguien vaya a fumigar o algo así.
They gave out new containers, yes, but we need someone to go and fumigate.
Como también hemos tenido muchos problemas con la gente que anda abriendo carros.
We also have had a lot of problems with people going around opening cars.
En una semana, yo tengo cámaras y en una semana 2 personas robaron en un carro y en el otro intentaron hacerlo.
I have cameras, and in the last weeks, 2 people went to rob cars and make attempts to rob cars.
Pero lo que sí nos interesa realmente es lo de las ratas, ya que yo tengo un carro y a mí me lo dañaron las ratas, tuve que llevarlo al mecánico, hacer pagos y pues sí es muy difícil.
What we're interested in are the rats. I have a car, and rats got into the car and damaged the car, and I had to take it to the mechanic because the rats damaged the car.
No tan solo es el mío, hay más vecinos que conozco que han tenido ese problema con frenos o con lo del motor. En mi caso fue lo del motor, que dañaron la parte de abajo y pues casi me quedaba sin carro.
Not just myself, I have neighbors who have complained that rats have ruined their brakes and other parts of the car. For me, it was the motor, but they have complained there have been other issues.
De un año para acá hemos visto muchísimo lo de las ratas, entonces sí queremos una solución.
From there to here, we have seen many rats, and we want a solution.
Eso es todo.
That is all.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Mr. Fernandez, help us, please.
Yes, Council President, actually, this is something we've been working on. The mayor was adamant that we try to do something there on Market Street. We even had one of the property owners,
There you go.
we actually had one of the property owners who has a vacant building that's going to be demolished soon, to put in a whole bunch of traps in their own facility, hoping that that would ameliorate the problem, but it clearly hasn't. So we're trying to figure out where the burrows are, where they're burrowing. So the issue with rats, unlike maybe some other vermin, is that they require poison, right? So it's a special poison, and if we start putting that in public settings, it can create a danger for the public who's walking by, especially like small children. So we're trying to find ways to, fix the problem in other ways that won't put, rat poison out in the public section where kids go to school and things of that nature. So we have been telling certain property owners, depending on the condition of their buildings, to put some of these traps. We ourselves in other locations have put traps in like certain pocket parks and things like that where we see that there's burrowing in it. But if they go, for example, into the sewer lines or the storm drain lines, which is popular for them, it's hard to get to them.
Yeah.
So we're constantly looking, constantly updating. But I think, Mayor, you said this was a team effort, right? Like we need every.
The question I would have, I'm sure everyone has, is we're not the first municipality to have this infestation. What do other?
No, most recently in the news, Bergen County, Hudson County were just on the news complaining of the increase of rats. Here, and I want to be careful with responding. The main transportation for rats are gas lines, sewer lines, water lines. What have we seen increase in the state of New Jersey? Work by PSE&G, by the water company, by sewer company. They've been opening up the pipes all over the state. I've addressed it with the utility company. So what happens is rats have to go somewhere. They come out when these are left open for long periods of time. That's why the business administrator, at my direction, addressed the property owner to close off any construction because this can become problematic, but it's all over. Bergen County, Essex County, Hudson County, all over. So though correlation doesn't always equal causation, there seems to be a connection with the increase of work that's being done throughout all of the cities of gas lines, of removing pipes and lines which are beneficial. However, when the work is left open for long periods of times, rats come out. What can we do as a community? What pragmatic approach can we take? Well, there are steps and measures we can take. We can put our garbage in containers. If you put your garbage in a container and not in a bag outside, you eliminate the source of food for vermin, not just rats, raccoons, feral cats, squirrels, all types of animals. Trying to limit putting the garbage out in bags. Rats, unlike other animals, cannot go 24 hours without water. Water is essential for them. You can look this up. And unfortunately, I've done too much study on rats and the biology and the experience because I saw what was going on in other municipalities as well. The increased rain and storms which have lifted up water, and you can see when streets flood, also have resulted in rats coming out, and then they look for sources of food. We addressed ordinances of street vendors. Many people were wondering, why did we take all the street vendors out without permits? One, because they were dumping grease down the sewer lines, and because they were creating more litter. The less litter that we have, the less source of food. Now, as the business administrator shared, we don't want to put poison out, not just for children, people's pets, their dogs, when you walk them, they can eat this. Unfortunately, it becomes a danger. How we have addressed it is we did give out free containers, vermin-proof containers, all the way down Market Street. We've been working with the businesses to ensure that they put their garbage in containers. I've often heard it said that the cleanest city is not the city that dirties or rather cleans the most, but rather it's the city that dirties the least. If we work together to reduce littering, if we put our garbage in containers instead of bags, if there is no source, we'll see less rats. But let me be clear. We are in proximity to the Passaic River. Literally downtown is right next to the Passaic River. Sewer lines, increase in storms, overflow of water, we're going to see vermin come out. If we limit the garbage, and many of you saw on social media recently where I walked downtown and had code go to a building that had all the garbage out instead of in the containers, that is the number one thing we can do. If we can address issues of garbage and litter, we can greatly reduce the presence of vermin. But it would be irresponsible and disingenuous for any elected officials to say that we're going to eliminate the presence of vermin completely. With the increase of storms and the work, they're going to continue opening up holes, and when you open up a gas line, a sewer line, or a water line, they come out and they look for food. So if we can eliminate the source, we can greatly reduce it. But our health department has gone down Market Street, Main Avenue, and downtown, have set up traps, and we are dealing with this issue to reduce. But as the council president said, it's a statewide issue. You can go online and see. They're literally complaining about it in every municipality. Mr. President.
I'm sorry, forgive me, I have a
thing with rats. I think most
I have
people do. Most people. I will, if I may, with the council's permission, a la señora, por favor, si desea, le puedo explicar más en español después de la reunión para traducir. Verbatim, what I said is, ma'am, if you would allow, after the meeting, I can give you a translation specifically. I'll stick around and explain to you some of the measures that we're taking so that you know.
Obviously, if they're caught in a trap, we've got to remove the trap, right?
It's constant vigilance, but again, I'll reiterate and stress this. If we limit their source of food, the rats naturally leave. Yes. When individuals throw their garbage out and there's food in the garbage and they throw it out without a container, whether it's a cat that comes by and opens it and now the food is spread, rats come for food. They're not hanging out for anything else. So we've addressed it with the businesses. Now we need the cooperation of all residents. You must put your garbage out in containers. I understand this isn't always the most convenient, but it is the most pragmatic approach we can take to reduce the presence of vermin and maintain our neighborhoods clean.
Obviously, is there a way we can communicate with, if I'm not mistaken, We require that if your refuse is in a bag, that it be the black heavy-duty bags,
Yes.
or in a pail, whatever that would be. Is there any way we can begin notifying people that they can't just use the white, thin plastic bags or whatever?
So we do it multiple times a year as a council and through my office when we send out the letters. We send out the recycling letters. We send out the tax letters. We send out letters that go to residents and property owners, and we stress this over and over. We understand there are some economic challenges. The heavy-duty bags may cost a little more, and garbage is something that we have to throw out multiple times during the week, and having to purchase those heavy-duty bags, but it will make a difference. At the very least, if residents utilize containers, it makes it very hard for the rats or vermin to get to the garbage. If they can't find food, they stop coming to the area. We have to limit their source of food. We won't be able to limit the rain or the water. A natural spring runs under the city that goes into the river. So when there's heavy rain, especially high volumes of water or rain dropping very fast, short periods of time, the water rises up, that can bring them out. But if there's no food source, they're not staying. So we must address the garbage issue. If we can address that, that will greatly reduce the presence of vermin, but our health department is out there.
Excellent, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Anyone else like to address the council, please?
Yes, hello. My name is Eric. I'm from 9th Street. The trucks is the problem.
If we could ask you to try to speak a little bit louder, sir.
The truck is the problem and also the parking. My block is a one-way. The trucks are coming from the opposite way. If any other car would do that, they will get a ticket. If the cops will pass by and they'll see the truck going the opposite way. My car got hit as a result. He couldn't get out. We have a video of it. Also, is that they don't throw out their mattresses. They not covered. They throw them in the backyard, and the mosquitoes, the ticks, bed bugs, everything's just laid out in the back. I mean, it's bad. Go any day, any day. And when it rains, it gets worse. I mean, they just leave it right there in the garages. They just leave it right there. I can see it. I see it every day in my life. It's embarrassing. When people come over, it's embarrassing. Another thing is that the propane, is the big propanes that in the garage, and the mattresses are right behind it. If that gets on fire, the propanes are gonna blow up, and the whole block is gonna be gone, especially in my house. So I just would like for you to take a look at it. My nephew's a fireman. I told him about it. He says that's illegal to keep mattresses in the street, right? You know, in their yard, but behind the garages. It's nasty. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. You should go check it out. Any day you want to pass by, any day. They
Thank
pick
you,
up
sir.
on Tuesdays, so it stays a whole week before they pick it up. If the truck is there maybe 2 hours, throwing. I see everything. I'm right there. Anything happens, my house is gonna go first. That's it. And I'm an exterminator, and I'm fighting mosquitoes, and I shouldn't live like that. Because I treat my house. And they still come, and I'm like, my wife is like, but ain't you an exterminator? I'm like, yeah, but I can't fight the beds. They're getting wet. And they try to throw plastic over it, but it doesn't really work. It's bad. Go any day of the week. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming down.
Council President, for the City Council, that's the mattress refurbishing company, and the propane issue is a serious issue that we'll get to the chief, because that was a couple years ago, they had the major fire at the mattress refurbishing company, so we'll make sure to get that information this week to the chief, to the council.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Chief, in advance. Anyone else like to address the council? Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'd like to address the city council regarding some issues.
We have your name, sir.
state your
for the
name.
record.
Ari Mack.
Okay, and if you could try to, it's difficult for us to hear acoustically. I apologize.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better.
Okay. As far as parking in the city of Passaic, there's multiple areas throughout Main Avenue, bus stops that are constantly parking. There are there are people parking in front of bus stops. I contacted the police department and they can't do anything. And it's illegal. And it's frustrating because when you have a bus trying to go by a bus stop and trying to get off, and you're trying to get off a bus, let's say if there's a handicapped person and trying to get off, how's that handicapped person supposed to get off? And also a regular person that is older, how's that person going to on or off? It's really frustrating, and that's my issue, one of the issues. As far as this past summer, I've been riding around doing deliveries, and I saw a number of issues in the city. I went through First Ward, Second Ward, Third Ward, Fourth Ward, and there's one street in particular that I want to address. Aspen Place is a beautiful area, but the building on the right, when you first come on Aspen Place, that has a lot of rats. When I went there to deliver some stuff, every single time I saw a lot of rats. I know you spoke about rats before, but that was my first time seeing multiple rats this summer. And this city is a beautiful city, and I'm just saying that it's not healthy to have rats in the city. Regarding bike lanes, my question is there going to be more bike lanes throughout Main Avenue? Because there's been an increase a lot in bikers recently. I would love to see more of bike lanes in the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, plans for bike lanes? Did you
Yes.
want to address that?
Yes, to our Main Avenue redesign, we are working with the county in order to increase bike lanes. I know we've added on Broadway, on Main Avenue, but as we redo the streets, especially considering the new bus stop that's coming, as well as the potential for the Pocket Passive Recreation Park that will replace the old bus stop. And as we look at the potential of a promenade down Main Ave, we have explored the potential of additional bike lanes down Main Avenue. Throughout the city, obviously, we want to make sure the streets are conducive, wide enough, ensuring that when you add bike lanes, you're not limiting the flow of traffic. But in every area that we've identified, the streets are conducive, we have added bike lanes, and we'll continue to explore it through engineering. We don't want to be arbitrary with it. As is always the direction of the council, we have to vet any approach and ensure that we do our due diligence in order to minimize the potential for traffic accidents or inconveniences while we're trying to address one issue where we could create a larger one. But short answer, yes, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to address the council, please?
All right. Joe Conoscenti, 170 Broadway. Council President, at the last meeting, I brought up about the lead pipe, and you made a joke about it. My question on the last meeting was, did you have a report of your findings of children that were supposed to be either sick or passed on the lead pipe, that you made a lot of statements during your campaign, and a couple other times you brought it up? And to add to this, the mayor brought up another part of this issue, that now they want to go inside the homes for lead pipe. Nobody has a lead pipe in their home. Only thing you have from the maybe 90 years, 80 years, you might have a toilet trap under your toilet that's made out of lead. You might have a sink with a lead trap on it, but you don't have no major pipes. That's my question right there. My next question is, I brought up about one tenant that I knew that was having a rental issue with the landlord, overcharging rental. She took him to court, so she got a reduction on her rent. So that was taken care of. My next question that I have is, I brought it up several times. I know the chief was supposed to look into it, the mayor was gonna look into it, and nobody done nothing. That's Gregory Avenue and Myrtle Avenue. The cars are parked on a public sidewalk. My next question is, I brought up about the Passaic Avenue train underpass. You guys are thinking to make a concession stand, but the whole area is deteriorating. Underneath the underpass is falling apart. The lighting is terrible in that area. The walls are all collapsing whenever we have a storm. And, you just go past there, it's terrible, that whole area. No matter which way you come from going up this way from City Hall, or you're coming down from Clifton, it's a horrible area. These are my questions.
Good deal. Let me try to answer some of them, all of them, if we may. Your comments about lead pipes, I'm not going to discuss it. You hold your view. The scientific world holds its view. I'm sure the truth will come out at some point. In terms of, you mentioned someone being overcharged in their rent.
It's out of control.
I will tell you, Mr. Constante, right now I have been charged with a job by my colleagues as council president, and that is to find people who would like to serve on our rent leveling board. We need one expert, one landlord, and one tenant. And if you'd like to solicit some of your neighbors and friends one of whom or three of whom would meet those criteria, we'd be very happy to consider. And this would be your opportunity, Mr. Constante, someone so involved with the city in so many facets and ways, to join and be on such a board. We'd love to consider your appointment. In terms of the underpass and in terms of development that the mayor has alluded to, in terms of concession stand, whatever, I'm sure that whatever needs to be done with the underpass or other related areas will be done. It would be in the economic best interests of whoever the landlord will be, and whatever it is he's going to or she's going to be doing there. Certainly, if an area is in disrepair, people aren't going to come and buy whatever they're buying, especially not food items. Gregory and Myrtle. Chief, the gentleman spoke about constant cars being parked on sidewalks.
Yeah, so we brought that up at the last meeting. We did address it, some of the issue. Get back, Joe?
Sure, every day. I even brought up the traffic. They didn't do nothing about it. One of the guys, he said he don't have a full staff or something, some kind of story he made up. I don't know. It didn't make no sense.
All right, good, thank you, Chief.
The young lady, the sanitary, just wanted her address for the cars, we were renting the cars.
All right, if you'd like to come over and step over there, you can. Okay.
Council President?
Yes, Mr.
Let me
Mayor.
If you can indulge me for a minute. Council President did not respond to the lead question. I definitely understand, but we may want to have a debate as to what's a question and what's a statement, but that might be for another day, I think. I do want to address this. We have a WIC department, Women, Infant, and Children, and the data that they provide is not opinion. Levels of lead have increased in children who are exposed to lead pipes and water. This is a very real issue. We have health officers that go out and do inspections and nurses. Our council president, who did not share it, and I share it because I think this is an important topic and people should be aware, as an assemblyman, led an initiative to fund the removal of lead pipes throughout the state of New Jersey. Billions of dollars are being allocated throughout the nation, but we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that impacted the state of New Jersey. If you are found to have pipes that are lined with lead and you do not remove it by a deadline, it could cost you up to $10,000 because it is an obligation by law for them to be removed. I wanted to point that out because what was shared in previous meetings about this legislation and the importance of that legislation should not be put aside, and I think it's important that we highlight it. There are homes that are renovated, but rarely do you find the pipes that are leading from the street into the home that were renovated. These are very old pipes in the city of Passaic that are still lined with lead. This legislation, this funding that we now see individuals go and knock on your door and tell you they can do it for free, is of great benefit, but it's free to you. It is not free in that it doesn't have a cost. That cost requires a payment, and the assemblyman through his office fought very hard in the state, convinced his colleagues and got the governor to sign in order to ensure that this historic legislation would provide funding for the removal of these pipes. So when you see the Passaic Valley Water Commission come in and move these pipes for free, we ask for our residents to please cooperate, because a date will come where they're no longer doing them. And then the cost will land on the resident. And in some cases, it's up to $10,000. Now, I don't know about you. I don't have $10,000 laying around. So I understand and appreciate the opinions of residents. However, if that in any way deters someone from cooperating with the free removal of your pipes and the work that will be done to remediate any issue, whether it's sidewalks or front lawns, if you have lead pipes, you will have to remove them. If they are identified, if you try to sell your home in the future, that can become an issue. So please, to all those that are watching online, I take this point to thank Assemblyman Chair for your leadership in this area and your fight along with your colleagues to make the resources available. But to every resident, if the Passaic Valley Water Commission comes by and asks if they can find out about the pipes or inspect, they are only looking for pipes. They are not inspecting your basement. They are not inspecting who lives there. In fact, by law, they can't. They're not coming in there to report what's going on. They're only there to find if you have lead pipes that they can remove for you because money has been put aside by the state in order to do so. Mr. Business Administrator, I just want to make sure I was accurate in the description of this process. Is there anything that I may have missed or perhaps was not accurate in?
No, you're 100% accurate. And Passaic Valley Water Commission has been knocking on doors throughout the entire city of Passaic for the entire summer to do exactly what you said, Mayor. And those individuals that are found to have the pipe after this program expires, it would have to be done at their own expense.
We understand historically and throughout the nation there have been issues, whether Flint, Michigan or other areas, which had serious concern with lead and exposure to lead for children through the water. Newark and Mayor Ross Baraka, a colleague of mine and someone that we're familiar with, was at the forefront of ensuring that there were lead pipe removals in the city of Newark. But Mr. Administrator, if I may, the pipes in our city, we have known by stats and data that we've had lead pipes, as well as through our WIC, our health department. We have seen actual science and data showing that children who are exposed to lead have an obvious adverse effect in their development, especially in communities that are underserved. And these are things you can Google and look up. I appreciate the fact that our council president didn't respond. I think it was out of humility, but he was at the forefront in the state fighting to make sure that cities like ours had the money and resources to remove them. And I just want to make sure that people look up this data online, please, to verify. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. It is 450 New Jersey children are diagnosed with lead poisoning a year. That is frightening. And most of those children live in places like Passaic, right? Mm-hmm. Brown children and black children, poor children, right? We have an obligation to have a child's life be ruined because of lack of concern $22.4 billion is being invested in this in the state of New Jersey. And like it or not, this is the law, and we have an obligation to enforce it, and we have an obligation to protect our future. So thank you, Mayor. Anyone else like to address the council? If not, why don't we take about a 5-minute break here so the people can use the restrooms, whatever. We'll reconvene in 5 minutes.
Recording stopped.
Councilman Monk? Yes. Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello? Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez? And Council President Scheer.
Yes, thank you. We're up to we'll open up to number 2, ordinances for second and final reading. A hearing is required. Number 1, proposed ordinance 2455-24, an ordinance amending Chapter 317 of the Code of the City of Passaic to add Article 17, municipal exemption from zoning regulations, introduced at July 16, 2024 meeting. Is there a motion, please, to open public hearing?
Move it.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please, for public hearing.
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello?
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
And Council President Scheer.
Yes, thank you. Councilwoman Montañez and Councilman Miller, thank you for being on this call. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, is there anyone who would like to address the council on proposed ordinance 2455-24?
Seeing no hands, I move to
Second.
close public hearing.
There's a motion to close public hearing. I'm sorry, Councilman Monk, your light is on.
Okay. The question on item 1 here. What's the purpose of this ordinance? And it's like, why, if we have any project, why can't it go through the regular process of going through a zoning board or planning board?
So it still goes. So it's pretty much holding us to the same standard and formalizing the standard that we use for, let's say, state projects or county projects within our borders. So all these projects go up for a capital review under the municipal land use law for them to make their recommendations, which then would come back to this board, to the council, for the council to ultimately make the decision whether they're going to accept the recommendations or not. What it does not do, which is, I would say, more uncommon, is for us to go to a full application, a full-blown hearing, as a normal applicant would come before it, because they're not a government entity, nor do they own, for the public purpose. So what this does is it formalizes the article within the municipal land use law of the recommendation powers of the planning board, so that it is clear that, yes, we have to go for a review, but it's a recommendation, then those recommendations are analyzed by this body and decided whether we're going to change the plan to accommodate those recommendations or accept the plan as is, which is, it's not uncommon. That's typically what happens in other levels of government.
So I guess to that point, I don't.
Councilman, a little bit louder, please.
Yeah. So I don't understand the language in the ordinance. Then, if it has to go through the zoning board anyway, this language sounds as if the city has some latitude on their own. It says, as an example, in 317-86. Reasonable exercise of authority. While exempt from formal zoning approvals, the City of Passaic shall exercise this authority reasonably with consideration for the kind of function or land use, the extent of the public interest, the impact on surrounding properties. If it's going to the zoning board, so what is this? Why is the City of Passaic exercising authority, reasonable authority? It's something which needs the approval of the zoning board regardless.
So what happens is it goes to a recommendation. So the idea is that we're not going to present something that has an issue of use, right? So we're not proposing something that'll be contrary to the use, and if we are, we're using that criteria to present it before the planning board for their recommendation. So what it does is it requires us to have a review for recommendation. What it doesn't do is make us go before a formal application to receive a variance as an applicant would, right? So those variances would still be reviewed by the board, but the board would make recommendations on those projects.
And those recommendations, so the zoning board is not going to vote on it?
Yeah, they vote on recommending things and vote whether the council, for example, you have two of them. There was two that this board, this council approved that went to the planning board yesterday, right? One of them was the parking deck. The other one was the concession stand in Bragg Park. So I went over the project. I showed them where the project was. We showed them a site plan of where it is. We had a discussion, right? And ultimately they voted to accept the project as was presented, right? Let's say it was something that wasn't as accepted, right? Maybe it was they wanted to see more bushes or a greater buffering, or, there was something that the board collectively thought, you know what? It would be a good idea if they added X. They can then, at the hearing, say, we approve this, or we're recommending that when the council does the project, they add whatever that is, a bush, a music bollard, I don't know, just so you kind of get an idea of kind of what they're talking
Okay,
about.
so it has the same process of the zoning voting yes or no, but the process of getting there is different.
Right, so let's say they just didn't like it, right? So let's say we came up with a project, they did not like it, right? And they all voted that they don't recommend you doing this, okay? Under a normal application, to be denied, and you'd have to appeal it to an appellate division and all that. In this case, what would happen is it would come back here. It would say to the council, they don't like it, and then you as a council would evaluate the project and decide whether you agree with the reasons, because if they don't like it, they have to put reasons why they don't like it. And then you look at those reasons and you can say, we're going to redo the project, or we can accept certain recommendations. We don't have to accept certain recommendations. So it kind of goes right along the same lines as when the state of New Jersey comes in to do all these beautiful new schools. They go to the board and the board reviews them and does their recommendations to them. And then it's up to the state of New Jersey to decide whether they're going to accept those recommendations or not. Okay. It's the exact same process.
Okay, thank you.
We are in the midst of a roll call. In fact, this is to close public hearing.
It's a close
Council-
public hearing.
Yes.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Scher.
Yes, that is to make the motion?
Yeah,
That-
no, that's to close.
Is there a motion, please?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. We're on to the next ordinance. Number two, please, proposed ordinance 2457, an ordinance amending the designation of restricted parking for disabled persons by New Jersey license plate number. Is there a motion, please, to open public hearing?
Move.
Motion
Second.
and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, the council will be deliberating proposed ordinance 2457-24. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on this item and this item only? Seeing? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Joe Conoscente, 170 Broadway. My question, Council President. I got a call from a friend of mine, and he stated he's got the license plate, the whole 9 yards by his property, and someone that's handicapped with a sticker parked in his spot. So they called the police on the issue, and the officer told them as of July 1st, they changed the ordinance. They allowed the park in his space.
I'm not
devices.
familiar with
I
any
never heard
change.
anything
I'm
about
not familiar with any change in that ordinance.
Right.
But if your friend would like
Because
to come to City Hall to share, we can take care of if there's any misinterpretation.
Right, because the car should have been towed, regardless, taking somebody's spot.
Well, if the car is parked illegally, and especially for a disabled person, I'm not quite so sure that that would be an immediate response, Mr. Conoscente.
Or more likely, if you have a license plate sign there, automatically that's
I'm
towed.
going to call you to the ordinance, and rather than any suppositions.
All right.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council?
Seeing no hands, I move to close the public portion.
Motion second, roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. On the ordinance, is there a motion?
So
please?
moved.
Motion and second, please. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. That was on the ordinance?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Next, please, proposed ordinance 2458-24, an ordinance rescinding ordinance 2216-19 and adopting a redevelopment plan for 141-155 Broadway, Block 2203, lots 3, 4, 6, and 7 in the city of Passaic. Is there a motion, please, to open public hearing?
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and second. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, the council will be deliberating proposed ordinance 2458-24. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on this item and this item only, please? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Joe Conoscente, 170 Broadway. My question on this issue is you have a block 2203 and you got lot 3, 4, 6, and 7. And if you got 2 buildings, how do you get 4 lots? And my other question on this issue, since you're on this one, I don't understand how this builder is getting away with this disgusting property. Over the weekend, the mayor had a video on areas where he was at and all the trash and garbage. And this owner is getting away with it. Every time I come here, is ignored. This morning, I called the animal control because there's a dead cat on the property. So, I mean, and there's garbage, tons of garbage. You're talking about garbage everywhere. There's tons of bags of garbage. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's rats and everything else here. You know, I don't understand how this owner is getting away with it. I don't care if he's a builder, whoever he is. That's Alex Perez, if you want to know. Why is he getting away with it?
Are you talking about specifically 141-155?
Yeah, right there, yeah. 147, 149 Broadway too, yeah.
Mr. Fernandez, any thoughts? 141,
So,
155.
well, clearly we take exception with, we haven't been doing anything. In
I sent the
fact,
mayor pictures too of the property.
we go there all the time, and in fact, we changed the type of requirement of boarding up the building. Now it's metal sheets because the wood wasn't good enough.
Has nothing to do with it.
So we're in the process of getting this approved so they can knock it down and get rid of the problem and have a brand-new structure there. Obviously, a developer doesn't want to take the risk of knocking down a building until the plan is approved so that they can go and then do the work that's there. But I could tell you that we're constantly sending inspectors. I could probably share a bunch of violations for that specific property. In fact, the reason it's even under a plan of rehabilitation is because it was in such bad shape. So I could tell you that we're addressing it. We're going to continue to address it. I just told the mayor I'll send inspectors again to make sure that they're cleaning it. It should be cleaner because there's more activity there now than there was
You
before.
can't even walk by there.
Because
Mr. Conoscente,
Yeah.
please.
because the house of worship is now open. So I don't know if that's making it better or not, but they're operating, so there's more eyes on the building than there were before. But if the council is kind enough to pass this, now they can start finalizing their construction drawings to knock down the buildings.
The gentleman had stated that there are 2 buildings. How do we get 4 lots?
So there's actually more than 2 buildings. There's 3 buildings and a garage. It's shown in the plan, as you can see. So the original redevelopment plan had just the 2 rooming houses, and what this plan does, that's the plan you're rescinding. The developer was able to acquire the property next door. So there is actually 4 lots. One of the lots is extremely small, which just houses a 2-car garage. So I think that's lot 7. It only houses, lot 4. It only houses a little garage. So it's 4 lots, 4 structures. Right. And what this does is it actually creates a much better project than was initially planned from the original redevelopment plan.
Councilman Love, is your line?
Yes, I just for my edification, from administration, when we do notify owners or residents of violations or potential, isn't there, we have to give them a reasonable amount of time, right? Right? And if they're fined or if there's summons, do we put it on Facebook or do we broadcast it on the website?
We do.
It's usually between the owner and the city. All right, so it's fair to say that we may not know if an owner has gotten a summons or if there's any repercussions unless we took the necessary steps and offer that information?
That's correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Can I answer another question to this?
As long as it is germane
Yeah.
and directly relative to the
Since I just
proposal.
found out, lot 7 is the florist, how come the block number is not on here? That's a separate building, so there's 3 buildings and 4 lots.
Right, so the block never changes. The block is a city block. So block 21, I'm sorry, I need my glasses. 2203 doesn't just include Broadway, that's a whole city block. So it includes lots on Gregory, lots on Paulison, so it's a whole city block. So within that city block, it's divided into lots. And these 4 lots are designated as 141, 143, 151, 155 Broadway, which make up lots 3, 4, 6, and 7.
All right, my last question I got. There's a couple people that go over there at night and they got keys to the gate to sleep in back of those buildings every night. They got a key to there's a chain wrapped around the fence and they got the key to open it and they go back there every night. So just to let you know what's going on here. This owner's getting away with everything.
Now that we're aware, I'll reach out to the owner and find out who's got keys to the lock and see if there's anything untowardly happening.
Could be security. Could be security.
Making sure they're cleaning. I don't know what the purpose is. I'll have to investigate.
Good, excellent, thank you. Anyone else like to address the council on 2458?
Seeing no hands, I move to close the public portion.
Second.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello? Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
And Council President Scher.
Yes, on the ordinance, please, is there a maker?
So move.
Second.
Motion and second, roll call, please, on number 3, 2458.
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello?
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
And Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. We're up to number 4, proposed ordinance 2459-24, an ordinance approving an amendment to the City of Passaic's development plan for property designated as blocks 1003, lots 6 and 20, on the official tax map of the City of Passaic and located at 99-107 and 113 4th Street in the City of Passaic, New Jersey. Is there a motion, please, to open public hearing?
So move.
Second.
Motion and second.
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello?
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
And Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, the council will be deliberating proposed ordinance 2459-24. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on this item and this item only?
Seeing no hands, I move to close the public portion.
Second.
Motion and second, roll call to close.
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello?
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. That was to close.
Yes.
On the ordinance, please, is there a maker?
So moved.
Motion. Chair will second for purposes of quorum.
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello?
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. We're up to communication on our agenda, Roman numeral 3. Just a side note, it sounds as if the system is working. Is that correct? System is not working?
Not 100%.
Not working? Okay, we're trying. Communications, item 5 through 11. Are there any questions, please, on 5 through 11? Seeing no lights at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept 5 through 11?
Move it.
Second.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello?
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz? Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. All matters listed here, you might be Cupides, obviously, you got a problem. All matters listed here under considered routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. Items number 12 through 21.
Council President. Okay.
Yes.
He said 21. I'm sorry. All right. He's on it. He's on it. He's on
I'm not
it. He's
watching your
sharp.
back all the time. Are
Move
there
it.
any questions, please, on 12 through 21? Seeing no lights, is there a motion, please,
Move
to
it.
accept? There is a motion. Motion and second. Roll call, please, on 12 through 21.
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello?
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. Separate vote, please, on 22. Is there a motion, please, to
Move
accept?
it.
There's a motion,
Second.
Motion and second on 22.
Councilman Monk?
Yes.
Councilman Love?
Extension.
Councilwoman Mello?
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez?
Abstain.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. Under resolutions, Roman numeral, it looks like 4, but it's not 4. Number 23, please, a resolution authorizing closed executive session. Susie, do we need closed executive? Mr. Fernandez?
No, Council President.
Mr. Mayor, sir?
None at this time, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the council? No. Very good, let's take that off. We have before us items number 24 through 47. 24 through 47. Councilman Monk.
Thank you, Council President. Item 26, resolution awarding furnishing, delivery, and installation of single-speed bicycles for the UEZ business area. I'm curious to know what type of bicycles are being furnished and what systems in place in terms of, like, is there a membership? Does it work with a app? Or are these just bicycles that are just readily available? What keeps it within the UEZ zone? Some of these communities, municipalities that have these bicycles, you drive through New Jersey, these bicycles are just laying on the sidewalks like as if they're just abandoned, you know, and just to understand what's being proposed here.
So this is similar to a city bike. You're gonna have all the stations where these bicycles are located are within the UEZ zone. It has a locking mechanism, which you unlock with an app where we require and we have to forcefully require the credit card in case the bike grows legs. Somebody needs to get charged for the bike. And then when they return it back to a station, it doesn't have to be the same station they took it from. They could, let's say they rode from, Third Ward all the way to First Ward, by A Street. Once they put it back in the mechanism, it locks the bike and then it stops charging them for the bike, and it's done on an application similarly to like what you would do on a city bike.
So you pay per hour? That's how it's gonna,
Yeah.
and the station, like how many bicycles? are
So
we
it's going to
getting
be
for 30?
25, right now, the funding that we received from the Urban Enterprise Zone is for 25 bikes and 30 stations. So you need more stations than you need bikes because, like I said, if most people are going to one park, let's say there's one on, let's say we put one on Wall Street, which is in the UEZ, and everybody's using it to go to Dundee Island Park, I'm going to need more racks there than I have bikes because, you know, there may be more traveling to one to the other. Yeah, I don't know if I made sense. That didn't make sense, but-
Yeah, you have to assume, if all 25 people showed up at the same place, you have
Yes,
to
they have to
basically-
fight, they have to lock the
to lock
bikes
We have
up.
like a
Bicycles.
concert at the park and everyone's going to the park on the bikes.
Right.
You need more stations.
More
You need more
I got it.
stations than,
I got it. So it's 25 bicycles. Is that, I mean, it sounds a little bit expensive, I guess, $38,000 for 25 bicycles.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to understand it's a great idea, it's a nice idea, but in terms of the value we're getting,
not
what we're getting
regular
for
bikes.
38,000.
so we're getting the bikes. So the bikes are our bikes. They're City of Passaic bicycles. They're not rented, they're not like borrowed, they're City of Passaic bicycles. They're our bicycles, so it includes a maintenance plan, so it's all inclusive, but they're our bikes.
Tracking system.
Tracking,
charging
right.
system.
Yes, yeah.
So, and what's the maintenance? Have we spoken to other municipalities that has done this? The batteries need to be replaced, the GPS systems need to be replaced. What's the maintenance cost here?
So you are the battery in our bicycles?
Oh,
There's no
you're
electric
pedal.
bicycles, they're single-speed bicycles. We don't really have a lot of hills in the City of Passaic, so the ones that have motors, I mean, if you thought this was expensive, you should see the price on the electric motored ones that you have are like triple this amount of money.
Why don't we just use the impounded ones that we have?
Yeah, so I wish we could, but then none of the mechanisms would work on the bike that we have impounded because
The charging. the
yeah,
tracking.
right. So it's the charging is the locking mechanism that's electrified. It's not the bike itself, right?
That's really the cost. It's
Yeah.
for the charging and the tracking.
And the app, the software.
I guess
They're like $600 bikes.
I guess it's a good thing that the Westervelt's not in the UEZ zone with that hill. But
Well, I mean, if you come off of Pennington and then come down, you're gonna
Right,
have a lot of fun
Yeah,
because you're gonna be flying down that hill. Getting back up might be the problem.
But have we spoken with other municipalities that have used this company, have used these bicycles? Because I'm sure there's issues that come up, you know, if the batteries die out, so it no longer locks, and
That
so on and so
hasn't really
forth.
come up as an issue. The main complaints that we received from other municipalities was taking up parking space, which we addressed by using non-street areas and lots. That's the reason why we took that approach. That was the biggest complaint, but in most cities, people put them back into the stations simply because of the charging. No matter
So
We
what's
have their credit card. We have their credit card.
So what's the cost? This includes all the stations. What's the actual cost for a bicycle? If we want to add more bicycles, I
Yeah.
imagine it's easy just to add bicycles. So what's the cost here for?
The bicycles are
Each
roughly like
bicycle-
$500, $600 per bike, roughly.
So it's
I
no big
couldn't
deal
get-
to add another 10 bicycles if we
Right.
see that it works.
Yes, exactly. So we didn't want to get overzealous and then have limited usage. But if we see, and that's the beauty with the app, you can track everything. You track miles, the bike is tracked. So it's just like in your car. We could see, and if we see, for example, that most of the activities in Thurwood Park, or most of the activity is in Pulaski, right? Then we add more stations and more bikes in those locations because now we know. So this again was the first attempt, putting it in key locations. In fact, one of the things that we did was involved, if you recall, Mayor, the kids, we had the summer planning program that came in, and the kids went out and talked to businesses, talked to residents, and kind of mapped out where the 5 locations would go with several alternates for us to review. So there was public input of where we were putting them for the first 5. And then after that, depending on usage, we can add, subtract, move based on the
Is there any issue if a bicycle is not used for a certain period of time? The battery drains, now the mechanism doesn't work and the GPS doesn't work?
So what happens is each one of those bikes, right, the system, and when I say battery, we're talking about a little battery, right? It's a locking mechanism. And that locking mechanism is,
It's like the ShopRite
Right,
carts
it's on the-
or grocery
Right.
carts, the way they used to lock them,
right, it's in the app.
quarter in.
It's in the app. So let's say that one of these bikes is flickering, right? It'll tell you in the app. So you can send someone to check what's happening with that bike. And part of this is a maintenance program where they take the bike and replace it as part of the maintenance program.
Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Councilman, your light is still on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on this ordinance, if you don't mind, Councilman. Just to piggyback a little bit, I'm glad you touched on that about, because I was asking who would monitor that, so you kind of answered that question. Now, you talked about the credit card. Now, we know many people use like the prepaid credit cards where it's only a certain amount on it anyway. And what they'll do is, we see it in a lot of our different municipalities, they'll just drop the bike off wherever. Who's going on a daily basis? Is there someone that will be monitoring that and collecting bikes as well,
Yeah.
returning them back?
Yeah, so we're gonna have Public Works, what's gonna happen as the parks team and the areas are looked at. Remember I said we have more stations than bikes?
Yes,
At the end of every day,
they can just return them.
each
to-
station has to have the right number of bikes that we originally set out.
Okay.
So that it works appropriately, right? So let's say each station has 5 bikes and then 2 extra, right? I think the math works out, right? So if one station is missing 2 bikes, remember, this is all on GPS, and the 2 bikes are in another area, they can go directly to those bikes and then bring them back to the station so that each station starts off every day with the 5 bikes.
Okay, and that would be the same if there's a flat tire or the chain
Yes.
pops or whatever,
Yes.
they would be able to monitor. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councilman Moore.
Sure. Item 27. Resolution awarding shuttle service, Passaic Urban Enterprise Zone. So it seems that there are 2 shuttles that are being proposed here. But it doesn't say in this, in the resolution here of how many hours a day, how many days a week this company is going to be supplying the service. I assume that this company, Pro Park, that's being proposed here for this contract, it's their driver, it's their insurance, the whole expense is on them.
That's correct.
So so they actually own the shuttle.
That's correct. So obviously the repairs of a truck and purchasing of a bus is much more cumbersome than a bicycle. So we're trying to use this to see how that works and look at the expense before we would undertake something as a city run.
So what is it coming out, how many hours a week, what is it coming out to per hour to run this? I mean, we're talking about $465,000 a year, so it's like $230,000 per shuttle. How many hours are we getting out of that? Like, just, I'm curious to understand. what the cost-
Anywhere, depending on the day, anywhere from 8 to 12 hours. We're looking, so basically it's an urban enterprise zone project. So the idea is that it would accommodate all the workers and consumers of the business districts in the UEZ. So the idea is to grab the peak hours and it would do the loop for those maximum hours. And we're trying to connect the loop in a way that gets us as close to the train station as possible. As we know, that's not in the UEZ, but if we stop at Broadway, now they could walk back and forth to the train station and then kind of do that loop in those peak hours, so that we can get, like I said, workers and consumers into our business district. So anywhere between 8 to 12 hours. Again, we did it for 5 days a week right now, which includes Saturday and Sunday because those are shopping days, right? So we're trying to play with the hours and see ridership. I could probably guarantee you that depending on ridership, and those peak hours may change, Maybe the days change depending on the peak hours. So there is flexibility that we wrote in the RFP so that we could accommodate for the greatest need, right? Because the idea is, we might have set 6 a.m. as the starting time, and we do the loop, and there's no ridership until really 8 o'clock. So then we're going to shift it to 8 o'clock to get the most ridership in that area. So that's kind of what we're trying to do.
So yeah, so both of these shuttles are running the same time, every day?
So
Two
we haven't
shuttles running at the
sat
same
down
time?
yet. I haven't sat down with the company to figure out the timing because we don't want to overlap too much. We just don't want anyone to wait longer than, let's say, 10 minutes or 15 minutes for the next bus.
So how are we signing a contract with a company for a specific dollar amount if we don't yet have the specifics of how many hours they're running? I mean,
No. So the hours are the hours. What time of day and what day of the week is going to be dependent on ridership. So we have an idea. So we put in the RFP, we put in a certain amount of days, we put in certain hours. I'm trying to remember the exact hour time that we put in the RFP for them to do it, and that's what they base their bid on, right? So the number of hours, they got to give us those number of hours. The time of day may change because if it doesn't work, and we put that way on purpose, we did it that way on purpose on the RFP to make sure that we get the maximum ridership in our buses. So if we put in the RFP 6 a.m., right, we gave ourselves the flexibility that if 6 a.m. is empty, that we could shift the hours of the loop. But the hours of the day don't change. It's the number of hours in the day don't change. It's time of day and maybe stops, right? Depending if there's not enough ridership on a stop, we can move the stop.
Mhm. And the contract also requires them in terms of the quality of the shuttle, that it's not a 20-year-old shuttle. It has to meet certain criteria to present it so it's people feel comfortable.
I know what you mean. Get the beat up. No.
There should be something which we could be proud of in Passaic, to offer that
Yeah.
shuttle, people want to use it, as opposed to, that's all covered in the contract?
Yep, and it has the markings. It has to have City of Passaic shuttle bus. So it's our buses. This is not that they're going to grab this bus and go to Clifton and use this bus. No, it's our buses. The contract would require us to store the buses, and their drivers would come get the buses from us, even though they own the bus, right? And it's for Passaic, so it's the Passaic shuttle. It's specifically for us. They can't use that bus and take it to another town.
I mean, it's curious to know, I guess it was bid out. And one last comment I have on this resolution, did anyone explore the possibility that maybe UEZ would allow the shuttle to go up to the train station? And again, it's to service UEZ. So if part of servicing UEZ is to give those people the ability to take a shuttle, to take a train, isn't it the best interest of UEZ to allow the bus to go another 2 blocks and actually drop people off?
You would think that.
You think that?
You would think that, but if I didn't show them a route that was in the shaded UEZ zone, they wouldn't have approved that. I went down that road. You and I are on the same page. I was like, can I get it to the front of the train station? They're like, is the train station in the UEZ? So you understand what I'm dealing with. So what I did was, there's 2 options. There's Main and Van Houten. Can you hear me? There's Main and Van Houten, and there's Broadway and Van Houten.
Right.
So those are the 2 closest spots that I can get you to this train station. I did the math. It's a 1/4 mile each way, which is less than a 5-minute walk on either direction to get you to the train station, which is the average that a person will walk before they start mumbling words we don't want them to mumble to get to the train station. So it's about a 1/4 mile, maybe a little bit. I think the main Van Houten one is maybe a little bit more than a 1/4 mile, maybe close to, a third. And then from Broadway to Broadway and Van Howen is about a quarter mile. It's much closer. It's a, you know,
And there's no way to change the UEZ zone.
it's an act of the legislature. The UEZ zones require us to apply to the state of New Jersey, and the state of New Jersey would have to help us change that map. And I could tell you, based on my knowledge, the fact that our train station's in the heart of a residential area would preclude it from being included as part of the UEZ, because one of the requirements, it has to be contiguous. And that would be a gap in the UEZ, which they wouldn't allow.
Okay, and can a park be in the UEZ?
Mr. Fernandez, I'm sorry, when you say contiguous, help me understand. I understand what the word means, but could contiguous be a road?
Businesses. So it has to have a certain number of businesses for it to continue to be, you know, you can have one or two, you know, a couple of buildings on a block that are not commercial, but it has to be a commercial sector. And they have to be, right, there can't be a gap. So if I got 3-4 blocks that are just residential, I won't be able to connect, right? Let's say part of Main Avenue, right, which is I guess the best example would be from Temple Place, that, right, you still have a couple of businesses sprinkled in there, and we were able to continue it up Main Avenue.
Asking apologies to my colleagues, I'd like to put on another hat for just a moment and ask that you contact my office.
Okay.
Spell out what we're looking to do, and we'll write a resolution correcting the problem.
Okay. That'd be great. If we can get that included to the shuttle service.
If it's going to enhance the value and do what we were looking to do with UEZ, which is jobs, jobs, jobs. If this was going to provide that, then let's be logical here.
Okay.
That's a game changer. If a shuttle from downtown actually goes to the train station, it's a game changer, because now you're giving people from downtown area real access to the train.
Right, but I think the
Mr.
UEZ
Fernandez continues doing what he's doing and can give us something on that from which we'll have a resolution be written. I'd be pleased to proceed with that.
Okay.
And I know Senator Sarlo and Assemblyman Calabrese would be most appreciative to sign on board.
And just throwing this out, if it helps, there is a way to get to the train station without going through residential if you could use the park.
Right, but the park is, right.
If the park is not considered residential, you can include that.
I can tell you the statute.
UEZ.
Yeah, the statute is, trust me, I've been looking at it and flipped the map around several times and sideways and angles.
The only way to get it done is going to provide an exception to the language.
We can get it, so again, the closest was the Van Howen corridor, like I said. And then we can go all the way to Brook and Benson. So Maine, between Brook and Benson, that's still UEZ. You could put a stop there. But that's a little farther away to the train station.
So you spell out what you want, and let's see how we can get it done.
Okay.
Yeah, use a park, use the park. Okay, my next question is Resolution 28.
28.
Resolution authorizing the purchase of a new telecommunication system, code enforcement. Why does this department need a new phone system? I believe years ago, whatever, the whole City Hall, right? All the departments received new systems.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
So then what's wrong? Why is
So
only
they can, so I think the better question is, why can they get it and not everyone else? Is because they have the funding. So what happens is, thank goodness, is you heard on our last budget, because of all these added assessments from construction and everything, you know, we were able to add millions of dollars. That comes out of construction permits that ultimately become projects. And based on that, as you may know, in the state of New Jersey, a construction office cannot make any money. It has to run flat. So what we tend to do here in the city of Passaic is, you know, if there's a couple of dollars left over, we don't just spend it, right? Just in case there's less permits one year or the other. And we've created a nice sized account that needs to be spent or it's recaptured. So it's typical, and we've done it in the past, if you recall, whenever we get a surplus like that, we have to spend it or it's taken away. And we have the opportunity now, you're gonna see several items that are specific for construction based on that need. So there's a need, we just haven't been able to meet that need because we didn't have the money. And now that we have the money, we're meeting that need.
So So is that, having one department in City Hall with a different phone system, does that in any way hamper the other departments within the City Hall to communicate on the same level?
No. So we did this whole thing is with our telecommunication provider and our IT director to look into the phone systems and upgrade their system, but still be integrated to the overall system. So it's still the same company system, but upgraded. It's like all upgraded services and things for that phone system.
How many phones, how many
Oh my
how many
goodness,
desks are there?
there's a ton in code. Remember, code enforcement, when we say code enforcement, that's the building department, the zoning department, the property maintenance department, they're all together under code enforcement. So, I mean,
Okay,
I would roughly say 20 phones, if not more.
okay.
When I was going over the agenda, it hit me that I've not heard in a long, long time complaints about code enforcement.
And I hope that this phone system gives you less. We're trying. I know that was a big issue for you, the mayor and the council members, and we have been consistently addressing.
Why has it gotten so better?
Well, I think
I'm ecstatic about it.
So I think there's a couple of things. I think that, one, the software system, people are starting to buy into the software system. We'll still get in the clerk on it. Soon she'll like it. She doesn't like it right now, but she'll like it later.
I'll help you understand the technology.
The software system is actually helping communicate between the departments a lot better. And quite frankly, it's just the oversight, right? Like constantly going there. I'm not saying it's perfect. It's not like, I'm not saying there's no complaints.
One thing that I've discovered is that contractors who have told their clients that the reason why there's a holdup of 3 weeks or 6 weeks is because of the city, and we're able to direct the question, get an answer, and the contractors are being challenged as to their recollection.
Yeah, so that's always the big thing. Because obviously they're going to say it's us because we're the easy target, right? And then the owners who feel comfortable enough to come to us now are learning that their professionals are the ones that are delaying the project and not us. We're like, it happens all the time. We're like, yeah, we told your architect, your plumber came in, we told your architect they had to change the drainage layout, and we're sitting here waiting for them. We told them that 2 weeks ago. Oh, really? So that happens a lot.
Okay, thank you. The next question is on Resolution 29.
Yes, same
Res-
department.
Authorizing the purchase of an automated filing system for $81,000. By the way, if we have so much surplus, why don't we lower the permit fees? So all the residences, it's cheaper for them to do construction. We have so much money to redo cabinets and phone systems. Why don't we give the money back to the people?
So that's actually, it looks like a lot of money, but it's not. So what happens is this. Right now we had a couple of good years. We've all been here where the city had to pick up the tab for code enforcement, right? I was here. In fact, I started my career when that's what was happening. And we had to do layoffs and had to do part-timers for that. The issue with reducing those fees is that by the time we realize the fees are too low and we try to put them back up, even if we do it by ordinance right away, there's a significant gap in the budget now, right? And I can't anticipate it for the following year. So what we do is when there's needed equipment, we replace the needed equipment. If this becomes the norm, then in fact, you wouldn't even have to tell us to do that. The state of New Jersey automatically tells us to do it, right? Because the fees are there's overages in fees. So this is not the norm. We've had a couple of good years, right?
But we must really be desperate to spend money because I think over the last year or so, we spent maybe $400,000 or $700,000 to automate paper, to get away from papers in City Hall, and now we're buying file cabinets to put papers into.
All right, so the reason, and I'm glad you asked that question, that was a very astute observation. The construction.
He's known to be that way.
The construction department, unfortunately, unfortunately, the construction department is one of those departments that the original plans of your home have to be original and in their office. So the big plans that you bring in, at least one copy of those originally sealed plans for your property have to be maintained in the code enforcement office. So as much as we've been, and we cleared out so many, if you recall, when John Moscasi was the code enforcement, we had an entire 2 or 3 offices of rows and rows of filing cabinets, and that's been condensed to almost nothing. So what this filing system does, because if you go into code enforcement, as good as they are, the paper plans are everywhere. Just go there. Just don't even say anything. Just stand from outside of it and look. What this does is, and we haven't spent on this type of file cabinet, I think the last one might have been tax, right? I think clerk went first and tax did it. And now we have the opportunity to do it for code. And theirs is a little bit more advanced because they got some sort of keypad thing. I don't think you guys have that special keypad thing. And these are basically 4 racks to the ceiling that you kind of do one of these spinny things. And I think this one now is automatic where they can
I'm sorry, could you?
It's like a big
spinny thing?
Yeah, I'm sorry. A big turn wheel.
Maybe I'll take back what I said about the quality of our business.
Turn.
You ever go to the cleaners, and they push in your coat and the only thing goes and it brings you your hanger? That's what this thing does, okay? It spins around it comes around different levels and it brings you that file that you need. Did I just explain it right?
Close, very close. Yeah, there's
I like spinny things.
There's a spinning mechanism. Right? There's a spinning mechanism where right now it's manual, where you have to use the handle and turn the spinning mechanism until it opens.
Chief Guzman is looking at us and wondering, who is he working for?
And we're hoping that that'll clear up the files that are just laid out everywhere.
And we don't have any discriminatory lawsuits from one department to the other that we have to crank it by hand and they just push a button.
Why are you starting trouble? Look at the clerk. She's looking at me like she wants the automatic.
You're starting already. Well, you know what?
The spinny thing.
Just increase your fees and have a surplus. Okay. Resolution 35. Authorizing an emergency contract with DNL Paving. So reading through this, it seems that there was another contractor that had a stop order, and therefore they had to hire a second company, DNL, to do emergency work.
Yep.
Is this money being recouped from the original contractor?
Yes. So the contractor didn't get paid that amount. So this is what happened. And Susie, if I'm going too deep into maybe a litigation component, stop me. But basically what happened is the original company milled the road. So now the road was opened up with the milling, right? That company was disbarred and was by the state of New Jersey and could not continue the work until the state of New Jersey told them to continue the work. The city could not maintain that road in that condition for an extended period of time and had to call in a company to do the coat of asphalt to make it safe again. So it wasn't like they started it, because it was made by layers, they only got paid for the layer they did and didn't charge us for the other layer. If there would have been a difference, so I got to give credit to Doris in purchasing, if there would have been a difference in the contract, that difference would have had to been covered by the company.
Okay, thank you. And then my last question is on Resolution 36, awarding contracts for sidewalk improvements in various locations. So how is this identified? I mean, there's probably, I would say, most sidewalks in the city of Passaic need some work done. So it's $250,000 here to fix sidewalks, do sidewalk in specific areas. What was the criteria used to identify these few blocks?
So this is one of the easier ones to identify because it's part of the neighborhood preservation program. That's the funding source. So it can only be in that neighborhood. So it's only the main avenue, like between Monroe to
Yeah.
Pennington area, like it's just that one section that's the MPP zone. So that money couldn't be spent, that 225 can't be spent outside of that border. So we did an evaluation of that zone, and based on where the sidewalks were the worst within that zone, we came up with the plan. In fact, this, just so the council's aware of what happened, we bid a lot more than Grove Street and Prospect Street, right? Obviously, there was not enough money, and we're putting in another 250,000, but of UEZ money, because this is also within the UEZ, to complete the other streets within the bid. So just in case you see that later, it'll be UEZ money instead of MPP money, which is Neighborhood Preservation Program money, but it's all within the zone. It can't be spent outside the zone. So that's why that zone was chosen.
Okay. I'm sorry, I have one question. I'll go back to the UEZ van, and then I'm done. How will people know the schedule?
Oh, we're gonna post it, we're gonna have a map.
Okay, fine, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
In fact, I was toying with our marketing, Renee, about depending on how big we can make it, if we can put, where we put the City of Passaic bus stop, will the picture of the map be too small? Like, I've been trying to say, can I put it right underneath the bus stop so people can see the loop and see the bus stops in the loop? It's gonna be a visual, but we're definitely gonna post it on the website. We'll have it out on all the wonderful information boards. So,
Yeah, I'd imagine if it gets to the
oh,
train
and the beauty
station.
of it, you didn't ask the question about the price. UEZ won't let us charge you for the ride.
At all?
Yeah, you get to ride it.
So you could even take your bicycle that you take from this thing and put it on the thing.
Put it on the UEZ thing.
I'm still waiting for the spinny thing.
The spinny thing?
Councilman Schwartz.
So along those lines, since the shuttle will be free, what is the mechanism to track usage?
So what happens is there's going to be
Spinny thing.
a turnstile type of thing. So the driver counts, there's going to be head counts on stops for right now. Because I said that I had the same question. I'm like, I know by fees, like how much but let's say we do $1, it's $1. It'll still be in the same situation. I'll still have to figure out. So there's gonna be a lot of counting of heads.
On 31, Mr. Fernandez, can you help me understand?
31?
31, 505,000, is it for 2 traffic lights?
No, so the base bid was Pennington and Acreage traffic light, but there's also Pennington and Acreage repavement. There's Hope and Monroe Street intersection improvements, curb extension, 4-way stop signs, and repavement in that section. So this was broken down into the base bid, which was the lights, the alternate bid, which is Pennington and Acreage repavement, and alternate bid B, which was Hope Avenue, Monroe Street intersection improvements, which include curb extensions and 4-way stops.
Okay. Are there any other questions, please? Seeing none, items 24 through 47. Is there a motion, please, to accept?
Move it.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. We're up to Roman numeral 5, ordinance for introduction and first reading, number 48, an ordinance amending the designation of restricted parking for disabled persons by New Jersey license plate number. Is there a motion for a sit down for a second and final reading at our meeting of September 17?
Move it.
Motion
Second.
and second. Thank you.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. On number 49, please. A proposed ordinance amending Chapter 317 zoning, Schedule of Regulations, Part 3 of the City of Passaic, second and final reading to be set for October 22, 2024. Is there a motion, please?
Move.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you very much. We're up to Roman numeral 7, Administrator's Report. Mr. Fernandez.
Yes, Council President, if I may briefly, we completed the housing element of the master plan, which is part of your packet. We're very excited about that. I would, if the council hasn't done so already, I would urge you look at the charts so you can see the differences. And just as way of background for everything we've been talking about, pipes and things of that nature, the majority of the housing stock in the city of Passaic was built before 1939. And that came out in that report, if you want to take a look at it. We plan on finalizing the rest of the reexamination report of the master plan by next month. I hope to have that as communications to the planning board for adoption and to the city council for review.
Thank you, sir. Members of the council? The mayor is unfortunately not able to be with us at this time. If there's no other...
I'm sorry, Council President, the bill list.
What am I looking at? I'm sorry.
We didn't vote on the bill list.
I'm terribly sorry. On the bills, please, are there any questions?
No.
Seeing none, is there a motion, please, to accept the bills as presented?
So move.
Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. There is one other item, colleagues, if I may draw your attention to a necessity of a rent leveling board, which is codified in law and is required. We've had several requests for such a board meeting. The board is composed of 6 members, 3 of whom are active, 3 of whom are used as substitutes when necessary. That is an expert, a landlord, and a renter, one from each category. If I may please impose on my colleagues to give consideration to one or more of those positions, people who might be interested in volunteering their time for such an effort, would be most appreciative, and we would ask you to please share any names with our city clerk. Are there any other items that we need to address tonight? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn, please?
Move it.
Motion?
Second.
Motion to adjourn, roll it up. Motion
Councilman
and
Monk?
second.
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shear.
Yes, this meeting is adjourned.